coworker kept stealing lunches, so I made them regret it. It started with the curry. My grandmother's recipe, slow-cooked chicken with just the right balance of spices and coconut milk. It was my pride and joy, and lunch on Tuesdays was always something to look forward to. That is, until it vanished from the office fridge. I'm Liam, a software developer. I like order, logic, and good food. I work at a tech company, the kind with open-plan offices, ping-pong tables, and a collaborative culture which mostly means you can hear everything everyone else is doing. Mark was not my favorite person. He was in sales, loud, always bragging about his deals, and generally treating the rest of us like we were there to support his brilliance. He had this swagger that just rubbed me the wrong way. I figured someone had just taken my curry by mistake. It happens. I chalked it up to a random incident. The next week, I packed leftover lasagna. Again, gone. This time, I was starting to get annoyed. I put a note on my lunch bag, "Please don't take this. It's mine." Simple, polite. The following Monday, I made a turkey and avocado sandwich on homemade bread. It was my go-to comfort food. I opened the fridge at lunchtime and stared at the empty space where my sandwich should have been. This time, there was a note inside my lunch bag finder's keepers scrawled in messy handwriting. Okay, this was deliberate. This was Mark. Just knew it. I went to Sarah, a fellow developer and my closest friend at work. She's sharp, sarcastic, and always up for a good plan. "Someone's stealing my lunch," I told her, fuming, "and I think it's Mark." Sarah raised an eyebrow. "Mark, mister, I close million-dollar deals so I can do whatever I want, Mark." The very same. That's low even for him. Have you talked to Brenda? Brenda was our supervisor, a decent person, but she hated conflict. Not yet. I wanted to see if you had any ideas first. Sarah grinned. "Oh, I have plenty of ideas, but first, document everything. Dates, times, what was taken, any notes left. Build a case." So I started a lunch theft log. It felt ridiculous, but Sarah was right. I needed proof. The next day, I packed a simple salad, mostly to act as bait. It disappeared, just as I expected. This time, the note read, "Thanks for the rabbit food." I showed Sarah my log. She was impressed with my dedication. Right, time to escalate. She suggested more aggressive labeling. I bought bright pink stickers and plastered them all over my lunch bag. "Do not EAT property of Liam if you EAT this. You will regret IT." I thought that would do it. I was wrong. The next day, my meticulously labeled container was empty. The note, "Regrets. I have none, your pal, Mark." I was beyond annoyed, I was angry. I went to Brenda. She listened patiently, her face etched with concern. "Liam, I'm so sorry this is happening. But honestly, confronting Mark directly might create more problems than it solves. He's sensitive, especially about his performance. So what am I supposed to do? Just let him keep stealing my food? Maybe try a different container, something less appealing," she suggested weakly. Less appealing. My lunches were works of art, but fine, I'd play along. I started using old, dented Tupperware. I packed leftovers that weren't quite as photogenic. Mark clearly saw this as a challenge, because he just started leaving post-it notes with details of the food he expected me to bring. The post-it notes were a step too far. This prompted me to change tactics. I began a series of decoy lunches. One day, I packed a container full of nothing but raw onions. The next, an entire jar of pickled beets. Then, a bowl of leftover Brussels sprouts that I intentionally burned. I was hoping the sheer unpleasantness would deter him. It didn't. He ate them all, and left increasingly sarcastic notes about my culinary experiments. Sarah suggested special ingredients. The first was Carolina Reaper peppers. I made a batch of spicy noodles and packed a small portion in a decoy container. The next day, Mark was sweating profusely during a sales call and kept excusing himself to get water. He still left a note, "A little kick, but not bad, needs more flavor." I moved on to excessive garlic. I made a garlic-heavy pasta dish that reeked from across the office. Mark ate the entire thing. No note this time, but his breath was legendary for the next few days. I realized that nothing I did was going to stop him. He was enjoying this. He saw it as a game, a way to assert his dominance. I needed proof, something concrete. That's when I decided to install a hidden camera. I bought a small, inconspicuous camera online and strategically placed it near the office fridge, disguised as an air freshener. It took a few days, but finally, I had him. Clear, undeniable footage of Mark opening my lunch bag, sniffing the contents, and then gleefully devouring my carefully prepared chicken salad sandwich. I marched into Brenda's office with the video evidence. This time, she couldn't ignore it. She called Dave from HR. Dave looked like he hadn't slept in a decade. He watched the video, his expression unchanging. "This is not good," he said finally. Brenda set up a meeting with Mark. I wasn't invited, but Sarah kept me updated. Apparently, Mark denied everything at first, even with the video evidence. He claimed it was a deep fake. Eventually, he admitted to borrowing a few lunches, but insisted it was just a joke. The result? A verbal warning. A verbal warning. I was livid. That's it. I asked Brenda, incredulous. He steals my food, lies about it, and all he gets is a talking to. Liam, I know it's frustrating, but HR felt that a more severe punishment would be disproportionate. And frankly, Mark's sales numbers are very high. I felt like I was taking crazy pills. I went back to my desk, defeated. Mark, emboldened by his slap on the wrist, decided to escalate. I came in the next morning to find my keyboard missing. My monitor was tilted at a ridiculous angle, and my computer background had been changed to a picture of a dog eating out of a garbage can. That was it. War was declared. I started documenting everything. Every stolen lunch, every taunting note, every act of sabotage. I was building a case, not just for HR, but for something bigger. Sarah was my co-conspirator. She helped me research ingredients, modify equipment, and keep my sanity. She even helped me learn how to use Python to create a script that logged Mark's computer activity. I knew I needed to do something drastic, something that would make him regret ever messing with me. I needed to hit him where it hurt his ego. I spent weeks researching my options. I needed something that was harmless but incredibly embarrassing. Something that would disrupt his precious sales calls and make him the laughingstock of the office. Finally, I found it. A natural food dye derived from spirulina. It was tasteless, odorless, and perfectly safe. But when ingested in large quantities, it could temporarily turn your skin a vibrant shade of blue. The plan was set. I decided to make my most impressive lunch yet. My grandmother's lasagna. She passed away a few years ago and taught me everything, even how to make the pasta sauce from scratch. On the day, I woke up early. I layered sheets of pasta, ricotta cheese, meat sauce, and vegetables, all laced with my secret ingredient. I packed it in a brand new, expensive-looking container. I even added a side of garlic bread, knowing Mark couldn't resist. I placed the lasagna in the fridge, right in the front. A siren call of deliciousness. Then, I waited. The sales team had a big presentation scheduled for that afternoon with a potential new client. Mark was leading the presentation. I knew he wouldn't be able to resist the lasagna. I could barely contain myself. At around 1:00 p.m., I heard the familiar sound of Mark's booming voice echoing through the office. A few minutes later, the chaos began. It started subtly. A few stifled giggles, a confused glance from Brenda. Then, outright laughter. Mark was in the middle of his presentation, gesturing wildly with his hands when people started noticing. His face was turning an alarming shade of blue. He kept talking, oblivious as the blue intensified. His hands, his neck, even his ears were turning blue. The potential client looked bewildered. Brenda looked horrified. Finally, someone coughed loudly and said, "Mark, are you feeling all right? You seem a little flushed." Mark stopped talking and looked around, confused. He caught a glimpse of himself in the reflection of the conference room window and gasped. His face was completely blue. The conference room erupted in laughter. Mark, mortified, stammered something about a food allergy and rushed out of the room, clutching his throat. The client, after a moment of awkward silence, politely excused themselves. The office was buzzing. Everyone was talking about Mark's sudden transformation. I tried to look innocent, but Sarah kept giving me knowing glances. Brenda and Dave summoned me to Brenda's office. They looked stressed and angry. "Liam, do you know anything about what happened to Mark?" Brenda asked, her voice tight. I feigned ignorance. I have no idea. I heard he had some kind of allergic reaction, an allergic reaction that turned him blue. Dave asked skeptically. "Come on, Liam. We know you and Mark haven't been getting along." I decided to come clean. I told them everything. The stolen lunches, the taunting notes, the sabotage, the verbal warning that did nothing to stop Mark. I showed them my log, the hidden camera footage, and the Python script I made to track Mark's computer activities. "I just wanted him to stop," I said, my voice pleading. He pushed me too far. Brenda and Dave listened in silence, their expressions unreadable. When I was finished, Dave sighed and rubbed his temples. "Liam, what you did was ill-advised," he said finally. "You could have gotten yourself fired." "But he was stealing my food," I protested. "And nobody did anything about it," Brenda spoke up. "Liam, we understand your frustration. And frankly, Mark's behavior has been unacceptable. But you can't take matters into your own hands like this." They gave me a formal warning, but that was it. Considering everything, I got off lightly. Mark, on the other hand, was not so lucky. The blue incident had been the last straw. Other coworkers started coming forward with their own stories of Mark's bullying and entitlement. Apparently, the lunch thefts were just the tip of the iceberg. HR launched a full investigation. They uncovered a pattern of misconduct, including inappropriate comments, aggressive behavior, and a general disregard for company policy. The result: Mark was suspended without pay. He was required to attend sensitivity training, and he was demoted to a less prestigious sales territory. The office atmosphere changed. Mark's swagger was gone, replaced by a quiet humility. People were actually civil to each other, and my lunches were safe. Sarah and I celebrated our victory with a fancy dinner at a local restaurant. We ate lasagna, of course. "You know," Sarah said, raising her glass, "you're kind of a folk hero around here now." I laughed. "I wouldn't go that far. No, seriously. People are calling you the lunch guardian." I shook my head, amused. I just wanted to eat my lunch in peace. The next day, I came into work and found a gift card to my favorite restaurant on my desk, with a note that said thanks for standing up to the bully. I smiled. Maybe I was a folk hero after all. And maybe, just maybe, justice had been served. I packed my lunch that day, my grandmother's chicken curry, in a new, reinforced container. And for the first time in months, I ate it without fear, knowing that it was finally safe.